And we actually have a special guest today, an expert, because sometimes we like to actually get people that know what they're talking about, unlike us. We want to talk about the healthcare bill, the American Healthcare Act that's currently in the Senate. We have Chirag. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
What are the changes that are being um, specifically voted on right now?
This bill asks people to pay more for less coverage. And that is specifically affecting people who are currently low income because the bill is significantly rolling back a lot of the Medicaid expansion that was present under Obamacare this week, but probably about 20 million people to lose coverage under Medicaid. If that much isn't clear to everyone in this country, it absolutely needs to be.
That 1 minute synopsis there by Chirag was more substantive than the entire and more open than the entire Republican drafting process of this bill. So that sounds like a bit of a nightmare there, that they're looking to provide basically less money and less coverage, kicking potentially 20 to 24 million people off of healthcare. It's almost as if they are so terrified of the public learning about the contents of this bill that they wanted to prevent anyone from hearing about what's inside of it before people voted on it in a rush job, and the CBO could even score it. And then they're so terrified of the implications of it that most of the really draconian cuts aren't going to take place until after, presumably, in their mind, Trump has been reelected in 2020.
I think the GOP fundamentally doesn't believe that people should have to have health insurance if they don't want it. And so by essentially rendering those insurance plans useless, they're just going to assume that people won't sign up for them.
And most Americans are covered by employer-provided healthcare. Insurance companies can effectively charge an older person 5 times the amount for health insurance.
They're trying to kill grandma.
That's a death panel right there. Okay, that's the equivalent of the death panel right there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it feels like we're moving in the wrong direction here. I do have some concerns about like imposing a really heavy fine on people who don't have health insurance, just because they probably have, if they don't have health insurance, they probably have no money anyway.
Mitch McConnell's like an evil genius. He's like an evil witch doctor in a way.
Mitch McConnell is Yertle the turtle, and he moves really slowly, but he, I guess slow and steady wins the race from his perspective. I personally think this bill is dead on arrival. I don't think that McConnell thinks this can pass, because the day that he releases the text of the bill, 4 senators came out saying that they were straight up opposed to it. That would be, Lion Ted Cruz.
They're all on our list.
Shout out.
Democrats are coming out.
They're coming out.
Like the objections from the Republican senators so far have been that it doesn't take effect soon enough. As in they want it to be meaner. They're unhappy with the delay and the fact that it doesn't actually repeal Obamacare, which is the big talking point they want to have. They want to be able to go back to their district and say, we repealed Obamacare. We finally did it. And this bill doesn't quite do that.
Basically, if you're a low income elderly person, your premiums could rise by 800% if this bill becomes law. Because when you poll people, their number one issue still is the economy and jobs. Like when you poll voters, that's what they say the issue is, which I think where we fall down is that we don't have a strong enough message of economic empowerment.
On the economy, we could make that a focus.
He accused basically Hillary of colluding with the DNC to rig. What did he call him? I think Crazy Bernie was what he called him in a tweet.
Right.
And kind of making the argument, yeah, well, if they can do it, then why can't I? Why is everyone so up in arms about me colluding with Russia and rigging an election that mattered? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Did you catch that tweet?
Yeah, that was pretty great. He basically was saying, if Hillary can collude, then why can't I? Thus implicitly admitting that he colluded with the Russians.
Trump was trying to implicate Obama as the Ray J of White House tapes. You know,
Ray J. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Bringing it back. Kim K. Kim K. Anyway,
You're dating yourself here, Tarek.
I'm dating myself. I know.
Nobody remembers that anymore.
Yeah, our listeners remember Ray J. Never forget Ray J. Who are our clowns of the week? The Trump administration is not listening whatsoever. There is an entire series of meetings that they've had where you have these like famous tech CEOs. Tim Cook from Apple is also in it, where they're sitting around a desk and telling Donald Trump like, "Hey, don't ban like Muslims." Don't.
One of the clowns of the week in there that you didn't mention was Uber, former and disgraced Uber CEO Travis Kalanick, who was TK, right? Who clearly was brought into the White House to advise on how to sexually harass people, given what was going on there in Uber. My clown of the week is Yertle, the turtle, your boy Mitch McConnell, the man without a plan. And the only plan he does have is one that guts $800 million from Medicaid and to give basically rich people a tax cut that they don't really need.